Hi, I'm McGuybo. A while back, I ran a poll to ask you guys what videos you would like to see me make. Way up the top were videos about faction warfare. So today I'm doing a beginner's guide to faction warfare. I'm in Jita 4.4, which is the market hub, Caldari station. So I've decided that that's the faction I'm going to join. I do a lot of stuff in Jita and I want to still have access to it. So I'm going to join not as a corp, not as an alliance, but just as an individual, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So if you go up to your menu at the top in activities, you'll find Factional Warfare. And the little drop down in the bottom left here will give you information on the 4 different factions. So I'm already selecting Caldari State there, and I just click Enlist Me. There's the options here for your corp and your alliance to enlist, but I'm just doing it as an individual pilot. Now, if you're part of a corp or an alliance, you should still be able to do this, provided your corp and alliance leaders permit it. They could permit it, but only for certain factions, at which point you wouldn't be able to enlist in the prohibited factions. But me, I'm allowed to enlist in any faction, so I'm just going to enlist with Caldari. If you're enlisting as an individual, then your enlistment is instant, as is leaving an alliance as well. That's instant. However, you do have to wait 24 hours before you can enlist with a different faction. So there it is. That's me enlisted with Faction Warfare. Now immediately a few things have happened. One is the Galante Federation's pilots, both NPC and other players, are now able to legally attack me in high security space, and they can attack me in low security space without getting a security status hit. This is legal warfare now. The second thing is I will no longer go suspect when I enter a faction warfare plex. Now, as a pirate, that's exactly what would happen. As soon as I activated the gate, things would start flashing, I would go suspect, and it would mean that people would then be able to legally attack me anywhere. Now, this map details a couple of different things. First thing that I can see here is who is holding what areas. So the blue is Caldari and the green is Galenti. You can see the front lines, which is where the action's going on and where you'll get the most rewards for participating. And you can see that the Galenti front line and the Caldari front line, they border each other. All of these faction warfare systems are in low security space, so I need to get there. The window here will give you more information. So let's say that we look at Tama. Now, Tama is a terrible system. It's a place that borders high sec to low sec space. Most of the time it is gate camped. There is a lot of stuff going on. So it's telling me at the moment Caldari has a slight advantage, and it tells us how we can affect that advantage in the system. We can enter the battlefield complexes, the faction warfare plexes, and similarly the propaganda broadcast structures, which are deployable structures, will be defended. Pretty much the same for listening outposts. Supply depots and supply caches can be destroyed, and that will have an impact on either the attacking force or the defending force. Operation centers are hacking sites, and rendezvous points are something that can be destroyed and have a negative impact on the defending faction in that system. Now, I'm also being informed here that in Onaman there is an interstellar shipcaster which is linked to Nenamalia. Onaman's high security space, so why don't we try that rather than going to Tama? That will take us to Nenamalia, which is a system, frontline system, where Caldari has the advantage. So maybe we'll come back to Tama, but we'll go here just now because that way we can see the advantage of using the interstellar shipcaster. I've set my destination for Onaman. Let's head off. Now, I will get a warning when I undock because I'm effectively at war. Now, this is something we need to be aware of in our overview. So you will need to set an overview that completely highlights the fact that faction warfare pilots are around. the way that I've done it is I've taken my low security PvP overview and adapted it. Because you want to bear in mind that in low security space, anyone can still attack you. So I have got faction warfare pilots highlighted and one for high security space which only has faction warfare pilots. So let's get a move on. There's something else that happens when you join faction warfare is you end up in a chat channel here, militia. That automatically opened when I joined the faction. The ship type that I've chosen here is a light missile kestrel. I'm not looking to scram or disrupt anyone at the moment. I do want to get into PvP with faction warfare, but just now I want to be able to kill the NPCs, set up a fight from a distance, cause a little bit of damage, and I can do all of that with a kestrel, but because of the mid slots, with 2 shield mods, missile guidance, and micro warp drive, I'm leaving out the scramming at the moment. You'd be surprised sometimes if you do a fit without point scram, warp scrambler or warp disrupt, the amount of people who won't warp off during a fight because they just take it for granted that you're gonna scram them. And maybe it's not until afterwards that they realise they could have warped away from that fight. That's when double web fits come in quite handy. At the moment I'm just flying through Caldari space, which is fine. But if I was to go into Galente space, the faction police there will now recognise me as an enemy. It won't destroy me straight away. I will still be able to fly through the space as long as I'm quite alert. But if I hang around in space or autopilot, I'm going to lose my ship. So in preparation for going and entering low sec, I'm opening up my directional scanner because I want to know what's around me, particularly when I get inside plexus, if I get that far. Now, one thing I've got to make sure is that on my overview, I have got the shipcaster there, and then it'll show up and I can walk right to it. Now, if you've set up your overview right, you should be able to see if you have any opposing faction pilots in the system. So you've got to be sure that under appearance, under color tag and background, that you have these pilots set up with tags, with color tags and backgrounds, so it's immediately obvious to you what's going on. So I've arrived at the shipcaster and it's telling me that it's charging and it'll be ready in less than 2 minutes. And you can see that it's only got one system link to it. That's because these are still fairly new. It means that the beacons haven't been completed at the destination systems. Now I'm telling you about these as I discover it. This is not something that I've done for a long time, and it's changed an awful lot. Now it's telling me at the top, the system it's linked to is Nenemalia. Nenemalia? Did I say Nenemalia earlier? Nenemalia. We know it's the front line. It would be 6 jumps through the gates. We should be able to jump directly to it very shortly. It's telling me there's only been 4 kills in the last hour. So let's click Initiate Launch. Rather like a Stargate, it's taken us directly through, and we can see, I mean, that's rather nice, isn't it? We can see that there are no Galente pilots in space. There is only one Plex, so let's walk to it. So Plex, Factional Warfare Plex, is a gated area of space which you have to either defend or hold, depending on who's inside it. So it's a state battle cruiser. State means Caldari, so I'm defending this site. If it was a Galente site, like Federation means Galente, then we would have to kill the NPCs that were in here. Now I've been rather cheeky. I've come in here just as the site was about to be captured, and I got a couple of notifications there. I've got loyalty points awarded, and my activity trackers noted a couple of advancements. Now, because I was in here and the Plex is completed, the gate has disappeared from the overview. People won't be able to walk to that anymore. I've also had a standings increase, and the loyalty points have been awarded. I got 582 loyalty points. I was in there for about 30 seconds. It was rather fortunate. Now, if you're inside a Plex, then other people can come in. And if you want to know who's at the gate, then just whack your directional scanner down to 0.1 AU. That means it's highly likely that any ships that you scan are at the gate and maybe thinking about coming in. So to find out about your loyalty points, how many you have, and this goes for all loyalty points, not just Factional Warfare ones, you go into your wallet, and in the top right, it should tell you about your LP. If you click into that and select the faction, you can see that the 582 State Protectorate LP that I just acquired are sitting right there. I can't see any more plexes that have been opened. That doesn't mean that there aren't any. If you right click in space and select anomalies, you can open up a plex all by yourself, which is what I'll do. And I did that by right clicking in space, clicking anomalies, combat site, and if it begins with Caldari and then medium scout, small, they could be large and open as well, and you just walk to it, that'll open that site up. Now that will open up a gate on your overview, but everyone else's overview as well. So other people will now be able to walk to that. The fact it says Navy there means that the only ships that can enter it are T1 ships and factional frigates. No pirate frigates, no T2 frigates in here. This is a scout, which is the smallest of all of the plexes. All I have to do now is sit here for 10 minutes within this area, and if I do that, the clock will keep counting down. But when it gets to 0, that's the site captured, and I get more LP. But in the meantime, other people can enter it, so I need to have my wits about me. There is one non-Caldari faction warfare in system, who is this pilot, and I'm going to alternate between a close scan to see if there's anyone at the gate, and a full scan to see who else is in system. I can see a Caracal and a Merlin. The Caracal's a cruiser, it can't get in here. The Merlin could, but I'm not too worried about a Merlin. So if I go back to this Factional Warfare window and also keep hitting scan, you can see that there are other tabs at the top. There are Warzone details. You can see how far away each system is that's engaged in Faction Warfare for your faction. How contested they are. You can tell by the green and the blue which faction has got the upper hand. Whether or not the system is contested or uncontested, meaning that nothing's really kicked off there yet. What kind of system it is. So you have frontline, rearguard, and command operations. So if I went into a Galenti system and the plexes kept getting attacked and attacked and attacked, it tipped it over until Caldari having the advantage. Then that makes the system being vulnerable to capture. And it would be at that point that you would destroy the iHub or infrastructure hub, and that would capture the system. And that would happen after the next server downtime. But by defending it, the system becomes less contested, and therefore you're ensuring the defense of the system. And if I've got an enemy here, whether it be Galenti or any other pilot, the countdown will stop. This area needs to be cleared of enemies for the countdown to continue. And we're almost at the end here. The site has been defended, captured, and you can see I got 445 loyalty points for sitting there for 10 minutes. It was the smallest site, so it's only 10 minutes. Larger sites, they take longer. Now the clock goes the other way as well. If I'd left that previous site after 4 minutes, it would have been 6 minutes to clear. But a Galenti pilot going in there would have to work back the 4 minutes that I'd put into it and then start on his 10 minutes. Neutral pilots, you can't capture it, and you also can't cloak in here either. And the plexes are not infinite, you can run out of them. So I mentioned before about the name there, NVY is Navy. Only T1 and Navy ships can enter it. No pirate faction, no T2 and no T3 either. The number indicates the number of pilots the reward scales to before loyalty points are reduced. So I went into this Plex and there was someone else already in there, which meant that we only would have got half as many LP, which is probably why I left, so apologies for that. The exception to the rules on who can access is an open complex. Now the open complex doesn't have a gate to access it, you just walk straight to it, so obviously anyone can do that. But you still can't cloak in it. And ventures not allowed in either. Now I don't want to kill the NPC that's here because it's Kaldari, which means it's on my side. But you can see someone else already has. Oh, and they've looted the wreck as well. But you would get tags in there. Now you can get faction warfare agents who will give you missions to run. And the missions will give you LP and ISK, but they don't contribute towards the victory points or the capturing of a system. Another thing is pods cannot capture sites, and we can see here we've got a Galente pilot in the system. Nothing's showing up on scan. And I've only got 3 seconds left in this Plex, so you can see I've got another 628 LP there. You get points towards your career program. It helps you advance defending a scout complex. It's just pocket money really. The Factional Warfare Warzone details. We can see the command operation systems and they look a bit different. The difference with the systems here is that frontline is where the most stuff's going on. It borders Galente space, so it expects a lot more action, which means that you get more rewards in frontline systems. Command operation systems are the middle ground, so the rewards here are going to be a lot smaller, and the rearguard systems next to no rewards at all. And this is something that came in Eve Uprising, or just before it, to encourage people to have more conflict within faction warfare. It meant that not all systems were the same. Now if I leave this system after doing 1.5 minutes, if I leave this Plex, sorry, then the next person who comes in just picks up from where I left off. So there's a frontline system which is 2 jumps away, which is held by Galente. So let's try and go there. It's likely there will be more Galente pilots. I will be on the offensive, so I will need to kill the NPCs in the system, in the plexus. So you can see the difference here, the amount of Galente pilots here. But there's only 1 pilot within 14 AU. So I'm going to try a Scout Navy system, which I've just opened up, so everyone can see that that's just been opened up, and anyone can join it. But hopefully I'll be the first person in warp to it. And wow, we can see the amount of pilots in system there. Those ships have just appeared on my scan, so I've just come towards them. They're not within 5 AU, and it's because there's a battlefield in this system. So I need to be very wary about who's coming in at the gate. But I also need to kill this frigate. So now that he has gone, the clock's going to start ticking in my direction. Because remember, you've got to clear all enemies from the Plex before the clock starts ticking. And there's the tag. So I can loot that tag. And that tag, I believe, comes in useful when I go to the LP store. More rewards are available if you've got these tags to hand in. So the battlefield here is like a superplex. It's much larger. It has slightly different capture mechanics. And we can see it's 5.5 AU away. So if I just think down to 5.4 AU, then they all disappear. But if I go down to 2.7 AU, it's completely clear. If I take it up to 2.9, we can see that this plex has got a Caldari Navy hookbill in that plex, because that's how far away that one is. So we'll just wait this out. Good time to reload. And we're just waiting for either someone else to enter the plex or for the next NPC to spawn. You can see I've just drifted outside of the plex area there, so the clock stopped ticking. And as I enter it, the clock starts ticking again. And Federation frigate has spawned. Very low damage, not too difficult to destroy. And I'd be very surprised if I get to the end of this timer and one of the Valenti pilots doesn't come in to challenge me. This is me just showing you the mechanics as a single player. But what's happened over the last year or so is that you're finding a lot more fleets, a lot more corps that are just dedicated to faction warfare. It's more active than it has been for a long, long time. So you're not going to be missing any content. Well, there's a hook bill close by. Just want to swap that out for Mjolnir just in case he isn't friendly. He may well be a Galenti pilot, and he is. Sorry, he isn't, but he's attacking me. Let me just have a look at this pilot. He is a Galenti pilot. And he has killed me. But I've messed up on my overview because he wasn't showing up as a Valenti pilot. Now I should have got that. He could have just been. I should have got that from the background flashing. But I thought perhaps he was just a Saldari pilot, but with a -5 sex status. So he has legitimately killed me. I did get 2,000 loyalty points for that. But really, if I'd had my overview set up right, that wouldn't have happened. So if I just go up to see what I did wrong. So what I should have had is, if pilot was at war with your militia, always show rather than set at default. You live and learn. It didn't help that I turned my micro warp drive off halfway through as well, when I was just trying to put it on to burn, when I was trying to overheat it. Some of the systems that are detailed there have hacking sites that provide materials which you can turn in to help build things to further your faction's cause. The overview setting as well, I do have a tab here which has filtered out all pilots who are in the same faction as me. So if anyone appears on that, it's someone that I should be shooting. I've really displayed a rookie error with losing that ship. So to open up the LP store, you dock up. And as with any LP store, you can filter it down just to show what's affordable. And even just from doing a couple of plexes that I did, there are some rewards here. There are skill books, and there are implants, and some data cores as well. And you'll also find the Faction Warfare agents in these stations as well. So that's a very basic beginner's guide to starting Faction Warfare and what it involves. It gets far deeper when you start to work with other people in your faction. And it becomes much more, or holistically, a tactical battle. And it's up to you how much you want to get involved with that. I think I might stay in for another day or two, just for the fights. So I'm McGaibo, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye now.